Hello everyone, hello. This shiur is dedicated Lili Nishmas, Rachalea, Bas, Reb Chaim Tzvi. Okay, so we're working on the Chafetz Chaim's introduction to the Sefer to the Sefer Chafetz Chaim. We has the list of lavs and mitzvos that a person violates if unfortunately they're involved with Lashon Hara. So we're up to mitzvah Yud Beis. Mitzvah Yud Beis is of course the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, and the Chafetz Chaim writes that when a person speaks Lashon Hara, he's being mevatel, he's violating the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. What exactly is the idea? So let's read it inside. Mitzvah Yud Beis. Ve'al kulam, and on top of all the other ones, over bezeh hazman shel sipur Lashon Hara v'ruchilus al mitzvah saseh shalim Torah shemitzvah saseh gemura. When a person is speaking Lashon Hara, they're violating the mitzvah saseh of learning Torah. Kamosha meforish b'Rambam, that it's a real mitzvah saseh. U'v'sefer mitzvos, he writes it as well. U'v'chol monei mitzvos, everyone lists this mitzvah as a real mitzvah deraisa. Ve'ein kates l'schar mitzvos aseh zu shishkul kned kol mitzvos. There's no limit to the schar for this mitzvah. It's equal to all the other mitzvos. There's a very important mitzvah of learning Torah. What's the idea? So he explains as follows. I'm skipping a few lines. Ushareis manim, the other times when a person is not speaking Lashon Hara, lefamim yotzei adam naki mizeh ha'avon midin shel ma'ila. So you're not violating this mitzvah necessarily. Avur shatzek b'parnasaso or mechashe brayona ve'ez ofen hasiges michiaso. You're involved in parnasa. You're working on making a living or something else like that. If a person is doing something productive, constructive, something he needs to do, okay, so he has no chiyuv to be learning Torah at that moment. But if a person is doing something destructive, well, why aren't you learning? What's your excuse for not being learning Torah during the moments that you're speaking Lashon Hara? So the Chafetz Chaim here is saying that there's a mitzvah for a man. By the way, clearly this mitzvah that he's referring to here applies to men, not to women. Women don't have this overriding, constant obligation to be involved in learning Torah. Women should spend their time well. And speaking Lashon Hara is not a good way to spend one's time. But it's not this particular mitzvah saseh of Talmud Torah. So this particular mitzvah applies to men and not to women. But the Chafetz Chaim here is saying that if a person is doing something constructive, fine. So it's something he's supposed to be doing, he's allowed to be doing, so that's not bittul Torah, because he has to be doing that. A person sleeps, a person eats, a person's working on his parnasa. We'll discuss in a few minutes. People need to relax a little bit. That's a very important part, just to maintain a healthy, productive personality. But if a person is doing something destructive, you're speaking Lashon Hara, so why are you learning Torah then? You're speaking Lashon Hara? So the Chafetz Chaim says that when you're speaking Lashon Hara, you're violating the mitzvah saseh of Talmud Torah. Aval, the Chafetz Chaim continues, Be'eshem esaper Lashon Hara rechilus. How is that going to help your parnasa? What possible productivity are you getting out of speaking Lashon? The answer is none. So therefore you're violating the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. That's what the Chafetz Chaim writes. Well, then he goes on. And he says, sometimes you have people, they say, I'm not such a big lamdin. It's hard for them. That means I'm not such a learned person. I don't have such great skills in learning. So it's hard for me to learn so much. Maybe that person is different. He says, no. There are different things a person can learn. You don't have to only learn Gemara in depth. You can learn other things. And the Chafetz Chaim gives a list. And in our generation, once we have Art Scroll and the other fabulous translations and explanations in English and different languages, so in our generation, a person who wants to learn, there's plenty of things a person's able to learn, even if at this moment they're not the greatest lamdan yet, they're not the most learned person yet. Let's see it inside. The Chafetz Chaim writes, Ki be'eza ofen sheyachol l'kayim mitzvah saseh de Torah. In any way he can fulfill this mitzvah of learning Torah, he should do it. Im hu lamdin gadol. If you're a big lamdin, that means you're very learned, you have very good skills. Lefi limudo. According to his level, he should learn Torah. V'af im hu ish she'eino lamdin. Let's say you're not such a learned person yet. You're not such a deep, advanced learning Torah person yet. Gam hu yachol lilmod sifrei kodesh. You can learn the kodesh svarim ha matokim, that are copied, Lashon Ashkenaz Bizmanenu, that were translated into Yiddish in those days, or nowadays in English. And nowadays you learn Kol Torah Kula with translations. Then he gives examples. Kagon, in his day, Chovas Halavavos, Umanoras Hamor, B'chilotze Bezeh. These are Sfarim of Hashkafa and Musar. Okay, in the Chafetz Chaim's day, apparently they hadn't translated the Gemara into Yiddish yet, I guess. But a person can learn those as well. Hamachnisin Bilevav Ha'adam. These books bring into a person's heart Yiras HaShakadosh Baruch Hu, Yiras Hashem. V'lo leishev batel min haTorah, and you don't have to sit batel, and meaning not involved in learning Torah. U'lesaper Lashon Hara v'rechilus, and speaking Lashon Hara v'rechilus. So the Chafetz Chaim says a person should be using any spare time he has to be that he's not doing something else productive, to be learning. But I'm not the biggest lamdan, I'm not so learned. Okay, so learn something else. Learn something lighter.